Alright, everybody, we're live once again. Don't Know Diaries, uh, page 11. Again, you can always find these up on YouTube, Castbox, Instagram. That's at Don't Know Podcast. That's where I put up all the updates of the upcoming episodes. And as such, no guests today again, sadly, because of everything that's going on. And now that we're talking about everything that's going on, I have a very special episode for you today. It's 420, so I figured why not get crazy with it. Uh, yours, uh, sorry. Congratulations to whoever celebrates it. We, I know it seems that I have two laptops here today, but it's not two laptops. One of them's an iPad, and that's because I have all the notes that I wanted to talk about today. I really wanted to get into it today. Uh, so with everything that's going on with the coronavirus uh, and us being quarantined and all that, I figured why not talk a bit about it. Why not get into it? And this is gonna be a really weird episode, it being that it's 420. So I figured why not get your mind, or uh, why not keep you up at night, if we're all quarantined anyway, what else is there to do? So now, uh, I was doing a little bit of research and I came across this woman. Her name is Whitney Webb, and she's a journalist and she writes about all the crazy stuff that's going on and everything like that. And so one of the things she was talking about was, and you can like look these up, they're in articles everywhere, just search her up, Whitney Webb. She has like a Patreon, I think, now. um, but anyways, she has a whole bunch of articles speaking about the government, speaking about Jeffrey Epstein. And if you don't know who Jeffrey Epstein is, he's basically this guy who was friends with a whole bunch of billionaires and a whole bunch of famous people, Bill Gates, Les Wexner, Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump. He was basically uh, surrounded by all these famous figures uh, all the time. And the reason he came to the media, or the media started to, how do you say it? The media started to broadcast him more, was because it was well known that Jeffrey Epstein, he had this island, had this mansion where he would basically take in little girls, sometimes little boys, and basically just have his way with them. And it wasn't just him either, it was a whole bunch of famous people that went to this island. And with that, the thing that Whitney Webb reports is that there's this lady by the name of Maria Farmer, and she was in that whole mansion island thing with Epstein, and she worked for him basically. She worked for him as an interior designer, and basically got told, like, later on through her job, like, hey, you're gonna need to start doing these things for me, doing these things for Epstein. And uh, if you don't know by now, like, if you've been living under a rock, if somebody asks you, did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? If you're dumb enough to say yes, like, where the fuck have you been living? But I'll go to his backstory right now. So basically, he was caught with this island base, and he was put in jail, right? And the first time he was put in jail, he tried to commit suicide. And when he tried to commit suicide, again, nothing was working, no cameras were on, nothing like that. But basically, the guards were there to get him in time, I think. And basically stop him from killing himself. But anyways, a couple months went on or whatever, and then he got put into jail again, a different prison, and now this time he got put in with this his fucking cellmate, dude. He ripped this shit. He used to be like an ex cop or something, and an ex corrupt cop. That's what he used to be, and he got put in with this monster. He looked like he's been on roids since he was like 7, and he got put in there with him, and who knows, maybe he would have been the killer or whatever, but Jeffrey Epstein was found with a whole bunch of like what do you call it? The jumpsuits tied around his neck. But uh, when they want to go do the autopsy, when they looked at his neck, if you have something big tied around like a jumpsuit tied around your neck, you wouldn't really have like a straight line, and that's what they saw mostly was just like a straight line, like so it looked like somebody grabbed a wire and just choked him out with it instead of him wrapping himself around with the jumpsuits. And they also found that his neck was broken in 3 places, and usually that doesn't happen with hangings like that. Um, so, anyways, he didn't really kill himself. They framed it to be he did. The cameras weren't working that day, supposedly, and also the guards there were like sleeping or something. It's all such a crazy story, and if you want to look into it, it's all over the place. But anyways, I wanted to talk about his island, his mansion, his wherever he did this. So uh, every time that Epstein would take like a girl, uh, yeah. So every time that Epstein would take a girl to like the mansion, he had a mansion in Florida, New York, and he also had some kind of ranch. That lady, Maria Farmer, since she worked there, she saw girls being taken in all the time, right? And she said that there were thousands, literally like 5 to 10 girls a day that would come into Jeffrey's office. I mean, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's office, and these weren't girls that were there by their own will, right? Like, it turns out that uh, Ivanka Trump and fuck some other rich lady's name. I can't remember. Ghislaine, and Ivanka Trump. They would go to these like schools, these junior high schools, to recruit models, and apparently they only wanted girls with like good grades to come in to audition to be a model, and usually every time they would go to a girl, they'd be like, "Hey, um, I think you're good looking. I want to recruit you for this magazine or whatever," and they would take them shopping and whatever. And then the next day, all the time, those girls were the ones that were in Jeffrey Epstein's office the next day. And now, uh, it seems uh, that most of the girls, well, it doesn't seem, a whole bunch of the girls that were at Epstein's office, Epstein's mansion, Epstein's island, they were all stolen from the Philippines or Thailand. They One of the victims' lawyers has the names of over 500 girls that can't be found because they were stolen from Philippines and Thailand. And of course, if you're gonna steal a girl from Philippines and Thailand, you want to steal them from all those little villages, basically all those lower income areas. That way, they can never be found, or if they were found, they don't have enough resources to get them back, or they don't have enough resources, or they don't have the financial means to get them back. So again, none of those over 500 girls that Epstein has caught has never been found. And now, one day when Maria Farmer was there, out of nowhere, she sees that her sister is also there. And keep in mind that Maria Farmer, she was older by then. She was maybe like, I want to say late 20s. But her sister was like 15, I think. So at that time, when Maria's sister was uh, was in Jeffrey Epstein's office, um, Epstein basically told the sister, "Hey, you're gonna have my kids," because I guess the whole point of Epstein and Ghislaine and also Les Wexner, all his all uh, their goal was basically to make this master race, and uh, and when Maria Farmer's sister uh, went to the mansion or island or whatever, Epstein told her, "Hey, you're gonna have my kids." And there was this whole big plan to make Epstein and have all these super high billionaires uh, have kids with basically smart girls, so they can make uh, this master race. And now this has been seen with like lot of rich and famous people, that they live completely separate lives, or they think differently than they do publicly. And I guess the founder for Planned Parenthood, I guess she was very racist, and when she barely started the whole Planned Parenthood institute, they wanted to put the main building or like the main office in Africa, because the population there was not only getting out of control, but she was also she didn't want any Africans to be born anymore, basically. And yeah, she's helped so many people and done so many things. The founder, but again, they have different agendas than they were actually than what is actually said to the public. And now, when Maria Farmer's sister was meant to have Epstein's babies, this wasn't just the only case. There was I don't know how many cases there were specifically, but Maria Farmer always talks about how there was thousands of girls, so this can't just be the only one. And so one day Maria Farmer was at the mansion or whatever, and every time like they wanted to go outside or they wanted to like call somebody, they always had to ask permission. And oh, even when they wanted to eat. And when Maria Farmer says that when she was there, I guess they wouldn't give her much food. Like they would give her food, but she felt like she was being starved in a way. So when that was going on, she called the cops because she felt like uh, she was being held prisoner there, which she basically was. So when she called the cops, they she told them, hey, I think I'm trapped in here. This is Les Wexner's place. And when she called them, they said, no, we can't help you. And she said, why? And she said, because Les Wexner, sorry, that's a hard name for me. She said that that Wexner basically owns the cops, so if they did anything against him, they would probably end up dying or whatever. So they said no. And so Maria Farmer, she kept trying to call everybody, but there was no, like, her phone calls weren't getting out. So she was able to find a landline, and then she just started calling everybody she knew. And when she called everybody she knew, she just told them, "Hey, I think I'm gonna die here." And then Epstein caught sight of that, and they just let her go because I don't know, maybe they didn't want the publicity or whatever. And and then I guess that Maria was able to leave, but her sister stayed there, and I guess they took a whole bunch of like nude photos of Maria Farmer's sister, and when Maria called back to Epstein's place and told him, "Hey, I need those pictures back." They told her no because Epstein's been carrying them around in his briefcase and he needs them. So right here we see that a whole bunch of higher ups, a whole bunch of famous rich guys, they not only have they don't show their real face, I guess you could say. They say one thing, but then behind closed doors they're doing another thing. Epstein was friends with Bill Gates for since the '90s, I believe. And again, you can always see Whitney Webb's reports on this. So Bill Gates was seen, well, was reported to fly with Jeffrey to his island at least 3 times, probably more. And in that island, again, there was always these girls that were uh, these underage girls that were getting abused, they were getting raped, they were getting uh, taken advantage of, and not only did we see Bill Gates, we also saw the Clintons, and we also saw. Sorry, I shouldn't say we also saw. I should say there's reported the Clintons, and there's been reported that also Donald Trump, has been seen with Epstein. And if you search up Trump and Epstein, you have a whole bunch of pictures that take place in the '90s, 2000s that show them at the island. And just now, sorry, and it seems that like the media is trying to cover this, or they don't want to report it for whatever reason. Maybe because Wexner owns the companies or whatever, Ghislaine or whoever it might be, Trump. It seems that the the high the hierarchy, basically the people who have the power, or I shouldn't say power, but that have the most money, that have, were quote unquote philanthropists, which is basically a word that's been tossed around now to describe a rich person or whatever. So uh, they seem that once they can't get the, so the money's no issue, right? So they got all the money in the world, they could spend it on doing whatever they want, but it doesn't seem that it ends there. It seems that it goes beyond money. It goes into having power after it becomes, after they get all the money they want, then they look into doing different things. And with the case of Epstein, I think that he was just kind of like the, how do you say, like one of the loose ends, because um, once these like reports started to come out, uh, again we saw that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, but he was put on suicidal watch. And you're telling me the guards fell asleep and the cameras were out that day? Like, there's no way. And then I've also seen pictures on the 60 Minutes or something like that. I think that's what the show's called, 60 Minutes. There's a whole bunch of pictures with a whole bunch of jumpsuits, those orange jumpsuits that the prisoners wear, inside of his cell. Like, how the fuck are you gonna get those many jumpsuits? And that aside, it seems that they're like thrown all over the place. Like, they weren't like tied together or anything like that. So I don't know what he was trying to do with the jumpsuits. I don't even know if he did anything with the jumpsuits. I'm sure he didn't kill himself. And anyways, so after that happened with that whole Maria thing, she later goes on, and after she got out, she tried to call the FBI, and the FBI is supposed to be, that company that protects people, that when the cops can't do it, the FBI does it. And if you believe that, that's not fucking true. The FBI is so corrupt. But she called them up and said, "Hey, Lex Wexner, Jeffrey Epstein, they had me in this place," and they didn't want to help her at all. They didn't even bother to put her in witness protection. And the police and the FBI basically told her no, because we're, if we mess with Wexner, he might take our jobs or whatever he'll do to them. And after that happened, that's when she started to do all these reports and all these interviews about how they took her sister, how there was this much bigger plan to make this superior race and have uh, these Epstein babies and have all this power and have this island where they just go and fuck little kids and all this kind of stuff. So now with that going on, uh, it seems sorry, and another one of Whitney Webb's reports that she did. She also uh, talks about how the so there was a Freedom of Information Act request that came out recently, and she reports on this too. Again, Whitney Webb, and it basically said that in order for the U.S. to beat China, we must become China. And what I mean by that is they're trying to do all these uh, like full totalitarian or fuck, I forgot the word. I think it is totalitarian. No, it's I don't remember the exact word she used, but so China right now is trying to get rid of a whole bunch of rights and a whole bunch of freedoms that the Chinese people have, basically to say we're better, we're stronger than the U.S. and and again, since the coronavirus, since it is assumed to come from China, which now is more of a fact than, than an assumption, uh, it seems that the coronavirus is trying to be like a way to control us because, since they've told us to stay inside and since they told us to quarantine, a whole bunch of countries that have been put into quarantine before they were put before they were told to stay home, a whole bunch of countries like Spain, France, a whole bunch of countries, they had a whole bunch of protests going on. And of course, if you tell somebody to stay home because of the pandemic and it's by law that you have to stay home, then they can't go out and do protests anymore. So that just goes to control the people in a way that doesn't seem so obvious, right? And now, in this freedom of info, in this request that came out, it seemed that the U.S. is trying to consider to eliminating individual car ownership, and the way that is because they think that like Uber type uh, like cars should. So basically, they think that there should be one fleet of like government issued cars given rights to people because it would be more efficient or whatever it may be. But again, they were in the request. It talks about eliminating individual car ownership and eliminating credit. All credit scores would be gone, and all the shopping would be done in person, and everything would be done like all through your phone. And they're calling these legacy systems. And again, so this is done so it could be basically the way they look at it, the way the U.S. is looking at it is in order to beat China, we must become China. So that means that if we don't do it now, China's just going to do it later and much better. So if they make a computer chip that I have to inject in my arm, they're going to do it much better than if we do it right now, right? And so a lot of people are seeing this coronavirus issue and pandemic like a way to control us because I don't know if you guys know this, but there was or there is maybe, I don't remember. So there's this surveillance system that was supposed to come out around the time that the coronavirus was supposed to come out. And again, you don't come up with these systems the moment this coronavirus came out. So it might have been done beforehand. So who knows if the coronavirus is a bioweapon? It most likely isn't. but who knows if China's just using it as a bioweapon. So this surveillance system, it was supposed to be, it was supposed to have access to all your personal files, all your credit score, everything like that, all your medical files, everything like that, and along with that, it was supposed to have access to your phone. That way, the the whole point of this was to see, oh, if you've been in contact with anybody else who might have it, we can see right here through your medical files and with your phone, right? So if this is implemented or if this will be implemented, I don't know. But again, this is just a way that it seems that the U.S. is trying to control us, and they didn't only do this right now. They also tried to do it back then to stop when mass shootings were going around. Mass shootings. They also try to implement the surveillance system that I'm talking about. You know, access to your medical files and access to your phone, so they can basically sense pre-crimes and they can arrest you or detain you before you commit a crime. Like, how is that possible to arrest somebody for thinking of committing a crime? You know, I mean, it's not right, but still, if they haven't done anything, then they wouldn't be guilty of it, right? Uh, so in these articles and with the things she talks about, Winnie Webb, um, she also goes into detail on how the coronavirus, this whole like pandemic, it seems that the countries who acted faster and are acting more smart in a way, more intelligently to the issue, you know, staying at home and staying quarantined, uh, they seem to have better cases of, or more cases of people actually recovering from it than dying. And again, with that, I don't know if you guys know this, but a whole bunch of people are protesting in Utah right now, which is fucking stupid. If you're one of those people, please stay home. There's no need to do that. Like, how the fuck are you gonna stop a pandemic? But anyways, so if you don't know what's going on, I guess in Utah there's a whole bunch of people protesting. So Governor Hubert can open back Utah again, so we can go outside and shop and do whatever and live our normal lives. But what people don't fucking understand is that if we all stayed home and quarantined, maybe a month or two from now, we could be out again. You know, I don't know how long it might have been, or I don't know how long it might be, but all I know is that with people being out there, they're more likely to catch coronavirus. They're more likely to have someone who has it and be out there who they might not even know has it, because there's been cases that people are asymptomatic and they don't know, or they don't have any symptoms. And it's usually a lot of young people, and a whole bunch of young people have been out and doing this protest. And I don't mean to get racial or anything, but it seems that all of it is all white people. And I don't I don't know if like it's just not common sense to some people or what. Maybe it's like some chemical deficiency. But how stupid do you have to be? Like, bioweapon or not, man-made or not, it's still a fucking pandemic, and people are dying from this, and people are getting it all over the world. And it's not only just the U.S., and it's not only just Utah either, you dumb bitches. It's all over the world, and fucking Spain and France, those are the ones who have it the worst. New York is horrible right now. And there's people out there in Utah protesting, oh, because I want to shop again. Like, no, stay the fuck home, you idiots. But with that, there has I see a whole bunch of posts, tweets uh, of regular people, right? Regular people uh, who are doing the right thing, who are doing the smart thing, and staying home. And it's like that old thing we used to hear that one person can ruin it for everybody else, and that's very true right now. One 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 small sneeze, one wrong step can lead us all into the coronavirus. One small lick of the hand and touch, or not washing our hands, it can all just lead to everybody getting the coronavirus. So right now, again, we just all have to stay home. And in my last podcast, I was just talking about that. It was a short one. You guys should check it out. It's all about the coronavirus and the earthquake that Utah had. So along with that, I also wanted to talk about this recent documentary I watched on Netflix. It's called "Don't Fuck with Cats." And if you guys haven't seen it, I recommend you guys watch it. And the moral of the story is not to watch it, I guess, in the documentary, because I'll go into it right now, but I recommend everybody watch it for the simple fact that it shows just that a few people who care can actually make a difference. And if you guys haven't seen Don't Fuck with Cats, it's about this guy. His name is Luca Magnotta, I think, something like that. So it's about this guy, and he posted this video on the internet about him placing these two kittens into this vacuum sealed bag, and he stuck the vacuum to it and sucked all the air out, and basically he killed the two cats, and he posted it on YouTube, and it went viral, right? So this small group of people decided to make a Facebook account, a Facebook page, and try to find this person who did it. And it's so crazy what these people do. I mean, it could be like they interview the mom of that Luca Magnotta dude, that fucking asshole. They interview his mom, and she says that it's like stalkerish, and it might be, but it was stalkerish for the right reasons, right? It was stalkerish. It's not even a word, but just made that fucking word up. So it was they were stalking this person to find out if he actually did. And it's this whole thing on how Luca Magnotta would make these fake Facebook pages on him promoting himself, how he was this failed model and nobody wanted him, and he was such a hot guy, and things like that. But that's fucking psychotic. Like, that's a psychotic mentality to go through and like promote yourself in that way, to make fake Facebook accounts. And anyways, so it goes on, and as if people are trying to find him, it's so crazy. They like notice that the outlets on the wall, you know how like ours here in America, they have like two prongs here and one prong down there. So they identify that it's not one from North America, that it's like a weird one, that it has like 4 prongs or something. But anyways, they identify that it's not one, and then in the video there's like a pack of cigarettes, and I guess all over the world the cigarettes are different and the labeling is different. So the way people do this is crazy, and yeah, it might have been like weird to just stalk down this one guy, but in my case, sorry, in my mind, I think that it was the right thing to do, because this Luca Magnotta guy, he kept posting videos on him killing cats, and in the second video, he grabbed a cat and like drowned him in the bathtub, and in the last video he grabbed this huge like anaconda snake, put it on his bed, and then he grabbed a kitten, and then, you know, as a python is gonna do, it just fucking snatched the cat and ate it. So he's out there killing cats. And after that, like, they started to notice that all these like psychotic like mental issues were showing in his posts, because like no normal person's gonna go out, grab a cat, and say, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill you today," and especially fucking post it. But one of the people in the Facebook groups, they were saying how they thought that he was actually going to kill somebody, and lo and behold, he did end up killing somebody. Actually, Luca Magnotta was kind of like bisexual, so he just basically got on Craigslist and was like, "Hey, I'm looking for a dude. Want to do movies with him? Uh, let's fuck." And this Asian guy went with him, and sadly, it was his last day on this earth. But when he also posted another video with him, it was called "One Lunatic, One Nice Pick," something like that. And so what happened was this dude, he tied the Asian guy to the bedposts, and when he after he tied him to the bedposts, I guess he had drugged him before, so hopefully he was drugged out and couldn't feel it. But Luca began fucking just stabbing the shit out of this dude's chest, and after that he ended up cutting off all his limbs and cutting off his neck. Sorry, cutting off his head. And in the video, he's just there dangling it as if he just didn't fucking kill a person. So, and after that, there's like a small dog that comes in. I didn't really understand the dog part. I didn't really understand what he did to the dog, but he did kill the dog. But I think he like fed the guy to the dog. I don't know. You guys need to watch that. Again, don't fuck with cats. But soon it turned out that Luca would leave these hints into he would leave these hints into his crime scenes, and the people that have been following that investigation on the Facebook page, they figured out that he's been copying a lot of movies. And when they interviewed the mom, she was saying how as a kid he would love to see movies and all that stuff. So eventually they found out that he was copying this movie Basic Instinct, where like one of the first shots of the movie, or one of the shots in the movie, I've never seen it, was this girl like riding this guy, and she tied him down to the bedpost again, like Luca did, and started shanking him like Luca did, and these people from like the Facebook page, at that point they had like contact with the police and everything, and they were like working together, and finally they found Luca in some internet cafe, like some fucking idiot, and the when they caught him, it looks pretty badass because he's in an internet cafe, sees the cops, and then tries to like walk back, and then you just see like 7 just big ass fucking cops walk in. It's pretty fucking dope. So once he gets caught, and he keeps talking about how somebody forced him to do it by the name of Manny Lopez, and at that point in the documentary, you kind of start to feel bad for him because he says that like they would rape him, and if he didn't do it or whatever, and they would abuse him, they'd beat him up. But then after that, once he got caught, he confessed, not right away, but he told them that about the Manny Lopez. But in that movie, that Basic Instinct movie, the girl says that she was controlled, or like ex-boyfriend. Again, I've never seen this movie. Fact check me. Fucking watch the documentary. Don't fuck with cats. There was a similar character, Manny Vasquez, ironically. Manny Vasquez, who was like controlling. So everything that Luca was saying was all fucking made up. And it's so fucking psychotic. And I'm surprised I haven't seen this documentary earlier. It came out in like 2019, just a year ago. But it's so fucking crazy. And the mom's all pissed because a whole bunch of people were like stalking her son on Facebook. And I don't see it that way. I mean, if your son is out there killing fucking cats and eventually kills a person, like, why would you think it's stalkerish to want to know who he is and at least get him caught, you know? But anyways, again, watch that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats. Comment below. Tell me what you think. And With that, that's going to be the end of the podcast. I hope this was a good 420 episode for you, as it was for me. It was fun talking to you guys about all this crazy shit. I hope you can still sleep at night with, the government controlling you, and all the billionaires have a fuck island. And again, we gotta stay safe out there right now. It's not the time to be out partying like I see a whole bunch of fucking assholes do on their social media. Stay home, stay healthy, eat healthy, be safe. Again, at Don't Know Podcast is the Instagram. Don't Know Diaries on YouTube. Don't Know Diaries on Castbox. Don't Know Diaries on Facebook. You could find all these episodes on here, page 11. Till next time, everybody.